Hey everybody, the Bad Pennies are back.
We are here.
I'm Sho, and this is my friend Alan.
So
How's it going, buddy?
good. It's good. It's a Friday.
It is.
It's a 7-Eleven Friday. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on. A lot of moving parts these days, and dealing with all of that stuff, and the things coming across my desk, and men doing what they do, and whatever. So, and a lot of stuff's come up.
The topic of today.
Yeah, you can't handle the truth.
You can't handle.
You can't handle the truth. Yeah, it's what was that? Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. Right?
I believe that's exactly what I want.
All I want is the truth. You can't handle the truth. All right. So, and that line reverberates. Just, I mean, why did that line become such a great line? Besides it was delivered by a world-class actor.
It could be deep. I mean, there's a lot to it.
But it does. Somehow it hit us.
Yeah.
It hit us all in some weird way that we may not even be aware of. But it carried the truth about that line carries some truth, and so what we'd like to talk about today is why. Why is that? Why is not being able to handle the truth such a problem?
Yeah.
And how can we get past it?
Okay.
Because that's getting past. I mean, we can point out problems forever, right?
Yeah.
But getting past it is really what we really want to be talking about, so that so these don't become obstacles for us as men in our life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say you're dealing with a mentor or someone who you actually do trust to give you some type of correction. But sometimes there's a lot of people out there that can't even take it when it's come from a trusted source.
That's it. All right. Yeah. So often it is who it's coming from.
Who is coming from?
Like if your boss is like handing you your butt because of something, you usually pay attention, right?
Yeah.
Because your job is on the line. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to suck up your ego, really, and listen. But as soon as you're out of the office, you're probably going that so-and-so, what the hell does he know or she know, and I know better, and they're full of it, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Again, that's all. And go look at some of our podcasts on ego, because we've talked about ego and the problem with it, and also the beauty of it, because we can't not have our egos, but we just have to have control of them. So, but when it comes to sort of negotiating the ins and outs of life daily, stuff comes up about ourselves, and so what we're going to specifically talk about here is when you're getting feedback from somebody you trust. Okay. So with that being said, let's just back up a couple things to get into it. Number one is that men are more prone to wanting to engage in battle than sit down and learn. We like to fight. All right, we like a good fight, and we've been fighting as part of our job, our makeup in the world for tens of thousands of years. The fight and the struggle to stay alive, to protect your village, your family, your community, your country, whatever it is, requires fight. And so we're built to fight.
Okay.
All right, we're built to fight. Even in a bar. I mean, there's nothing like a good fight with your best friend rolling down on the floor, and then you get back up laughing and hugging each other, and then order another beer.
I mean, there's a machismo, there's a testosterone thing.
It's all ego.
Yeah.
It's all ego.
But you're saying that it's hard for men to take the knowledge and the correction and the wisdom that they may not be correct in something.
Yes, because your ego doesn't want to be wrong. Of course, your ego is what makes you special, and number one, and separate and different, and all of those things. And but we got to dial it down in order to be able to learn. Because if you can't dial your ego back, then you can't learn. And so and you can't handle the truth. I mean, if someone's, I mean, even for yourself to be able to like discern what's really going on, if our ego gets into it, it muddies the water so much that because it's telling you a completely different thing than what's actually happening. What's actually happening is completely different than what your ego will be telling you. And so you got to dial it back. Otherwise, you can't learn.
How?
And that's
How do you internally dial it back?
well, it's a process of first getting familiar with when it's engaged.
Yeah, that's a hard one to recognize.
That's yeah, right. So how do you do that? Again, how many times have we talked about having men that you trust in your life? How many times?
You need to have men that you trust.
Yeah, we said this about 1,000 times, and we can't say it enough. But that one of the great tools that a man has in being successful in negotiating, being successful in business, in his marriage, as a parent, in the community, having men who can provide a truthful feedback, a good mirror for you, is I can't even begin to emphasize what a handicap it is for men that don't have that. It's a huge handicap. As much as we think we should be, that we do want to do everything alone, we can't do everything alone. We can do a lot alone. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do stuff alone. I like to do stuff alone, but there are things we can't, and that's one area that contributes to our ability to win, really, to be successful, and to get through life in general. Okay, so you gotta have your men that maybe that you trust enough that will point out when your ego's engaged, and hopefully in a certain period of time, depending on the individual. But you have to start listening to them and noticing what it's like when they're saying your ego's engaged. You start to pay attention to that, right? And then you start to catch yourself, even when your men aren't around. When nobody's saying, "Hey, dude, you're in your ego," you go, "Oh, I'm in my ego," because you know what it's like. You know you know what that experience is viscerally. All right, so because it has to become a visceral experience. We can talk about it forever, but until you understand where you are when you're like fully blinded by your ego, you can't get out of it. You can't move past it. You can't catch it. And even if someone else catches it, at best, you listen to them and you turn it off or dial it back. All right, at best. Okay. but you can't carry all those men around with you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
On your back, everywhere you go. So they're whispering in your ear to shut it off, right, and start listening.
So the only way that you're going to be able to you still got to be able to self-recognize your ego. You got. Here's a question.
Yes.
Do you ever tell people suggest to them maybe they may not be correct?
I don't.
Maybe you may not be right.
I don't, because
a lot of times I think about that. Like, hey, dude, do you ever tell yourself that maybe you may not be right?
Well, that's something you should be telling yourself a lot, but or at least questioning it, so that hopefully the reality of the situation you can look at objectively.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, when your ego's engaged, you cannot look at things objectively. Your ego will lie to you. It will filter everything, and you will. You can't be effectively responsive if you're fully engaged in your ego. It is impossible to learn when you're fully engaged in your ego. So, but then again, there's a lot of things we can't do without having our ego. It drives us in competition and to be successful. So we need it. And at the same time, it's this weird two-edged sword, right? So if you've realized that this happens a lot, and let me just point out some of the ways it shows up. Being defensive, arguing, disagreeing. You get where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
All right.
Combative.
Being combative when it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
Arguing with anyone, really, with your wife, with mentors, with your men, with your children. This again, you're trying to exert control, which is what egos do.
Okay.
Okay. And you have shut off your ability to learn. And again, in many situations throughout our evolution as a human species, we need that. We need men to be able to shut off a lot of stuff to be able to go do what they were asked to do.
Okay.
All right. You can't go out into battle and do the things that we're asked to do in battle and be connected to all of this other stuff.
Okay.
So we had
a man who's doing something in life. Let's say that he's heading down a path that he thinks is correct,
right,
in regards to a business decision that seems a little shady, but he decides that, you know what, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to go for it. Now he's got some men around him that are saying, hey, I don't think you should do that.
All right.
Like,
well,
hey,
again, this is a really interesting thing that you point out, because your men don't really have the right to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. Because again, that's like a kind of advice that ultimately we are the sole responsibility of our decisions. In other words, that you can't. Yeah, and it's inappropriate. At the same time, your men can say, "Look, I've been through that kind of situation, and this is what happened for me," or is this? Woohoo!
Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, no worries. So that this is something that may lead down a difficult or a path that you don't want to go down, or might end up in a series of consequences or cost that you don't want to pay, right? And this may be more, especially when you're talking about something shady. Of course, you do something shady, there's going to be a price for that shady stuff. And some men are okay with that and some men are not. But the thing is, you got to weigh out the deal. But what we're really wanting to get to is that when that mirror gets up, you don't fight it. When men that you trust provide reality, hopefully they're able to do that. Hopefully they're smart enough and grounded enough and able to control their egos enough. Because there again, when you start telling a man what he should do, that's you wanting him to do what you want him to do, right? That's a kind of control, and that's actually ego as well. So it's a slippery slope. Everything slides back into ego all the time.
Okay.
But so you gotta, again, the men that you pick to trust are men that are able to get past that, to dial the ego down and to do it. Hold up the mirror with care, not telling you what you should do or shouldn't do, but just saying, hey, this is what it is, so you can make a good decision. In order to do that, you have to learn, you have to listen. And men would rather engage in arguing and fighting and pushing back and disagreeing than listening. Listening is just a really difficult thing for us to master, right? It really is. Even if you've mastered it, I wouldn't say I've mastered it, but I know that I'm pretty good at listening. As good as I am at talking, I'm arguably as good at listening.
I can't believe it.
I know, it's difficult, isn't it?
No, I've never had that experience with you.
No, I wouldn't know as much about you if I didn't listen. So, but as we practice both, because a man has something to learn, especially if you're doing what I'm doing, which is teaching a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So it's hard to do that without talking. So, but there's different ways of talking too. There's talking with someone and talking with someone, and they are different, and they're both good, right? Well, not one's more valuable than the other. They're just both really good ways of being with another human being. But also then there's the flip side, which is where you're listening, and you listen very, very carefully.
Yeah.
You listen without judgment. You listen without wanting to change or fix or correct the other person, right? But
Very
you can't do
important.
that with your ego engaged. And so, again, I want to point out what some of this stuff looks like, because and the interesting thing that I've learned about men over the years is how unaware they are that they're doing it. And when it's pointed out that they're doing it, instead of listening and going like, wow, am I really doing that? Jeez, am I aware that I'm doing that? Instead of going there, they go to the other place of, I'm not arguing, I'm not being defensive, all the while arguing and being defensive about something.
Yeah.
They just dig in deeper.
So you're saying they should go in the direction of actually.
Well, if you want to evolve fully as a man, going through life, right? And you really want to learn and increase your wisdom and your status in the world, then it requires watching our podcast on being introspective, I think, but which does come into this picture as well, which is that rather than arguing and fighting and pushing back, you go inward and say, what does this really say? How I'm living my life, right? So, but men will just dig in, and they'll dig in deeper, and they'll dig in deeper, and they'll dig in deeper, all the way saying, I'm not in my ego, while their ego's just getting larger and larger, and pushing everybody out of the room, all the while screaming, I'm not in my ego. So
it's almost like the Hulk is green now, but how do you get it back to the Dr. Banner?
Exactly. Well, again, it requires something on your part. It requires some real self-reflection and discipline and trust, not just for yourself, but for, like I said, those men that you have in your life that you decided to trust. It just can't be a word. I mean, because when they're holding up a mirror of how you're being that you don't like, are you going to trust that? Because if you don't, then you don't really trust them. That's the truth. I mean, that's how you really find out whether there's trust or not, is when things are going wrong, when something's really difficult.
Okay.
That's when it becomes valuable. Whereas, just to say, oh yeah, I trust my men, but when push comes to shove, you don't. So you got to know that when, that's where the trust becomes valuable, and that you can start to listen. Because if you really trust your men, you don't fight, you don't push back, you listen. You listen. You don't disagree. Disagreeing is for another time. We can have a disagreeing session, and we can all sit down and talk about how we disagree about everything, and that's perfectly fine. But I question the value of that, even though that it might be a lot of fun. All right?
Okay.
Because we like to fight, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's just another version of fighting.
Okay.
It might be fighting with words and ego, but it's still fighting. And so and again, we like fighting. So, but that's the thing. Being aware of the fact that that's a natural place to go, and it's not always the best place to go. Especially today. And choose to go another way, especially in certain situations when it's time to learn. And know that it's time to learn. You've got to discipline yourself to know that everything that happens in your life will be an opportunity to learn something. Everything, whatever you do, and every mistake you make, or every win that you have, every relationship that you have, is all an opportunity to learn something.
You gotta check your ego.
Gotta. Can't learn without doing that. You're wrong. No, you're wrong. No.
Never wrong. What are you talking about?
Right.
One time I thought I was wrong, but I was actually mistaken.
Well, I just, I had someone teach me a long time ago that there really isn't any right or wrong.
There's just degrees of the truth.
In a moral compass, yes, but we're talking about in like life in general.
Okay.
It's about what works and what doesn't work, especially for our perspective as men. We're more concerned about whether something works or not. So is this, and you can look at that even in a moral perspective to say, is this morally conducive? Is this working to be having good moral character and integrity or not? Is it a behavior that's producing good moral integrity, or is it doing the opposite? And if it is, and what you want is to be a man of integrity and character and moral fortitude and higher purpose and all of that, then and you're doing things that go against that, then I would say that doesn't work. Those things that you're doing that are not producing that result don't work. So some people say those are the wrong things. All right. In our world, it's so easy to be judgmental about stuff, right?
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know whether that's helping us. Honestly, I just see a lot of the stuff going on in the world today, and it's all about judging others based on some weird measuring stick of right and wrong. And what's really fascinating is how often that measuring stick gets changed to suit the person using it. You got to think about that too. So does it work? Does it not work? And one of the things we know that works is dialing the ego down and dialing the listening up, so that you're not fighting back, disagreeing. I mean, there's a time for disagreeing. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that there's a time for it. Arguing, pushing back. Men, sometimes when men push men that they care about, the best thing to do is not push back. So but pushing back, fighting, shutting down, all of that stuff stops it. You're in your ego, and it stops learning. And we want you. I don't know about you, but I like learning.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. I do. I like learning, and I do like fighting too. So I have to turn the fight off to turn the learning on.
You can't have both at the same time.
Can't. Yeah, it's impossible.
Unless you're
You
learning
can
how to
fight, or you can learn. So figure out how you want to go through life. There's a place for fighting.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more room for learning these days than there is for fighting. But again, both have their place.
Okay. Cool. So Bad Pennies are here.
We are.
Bad Pennies will be back again. Thank you for enjoying this episode. I hope you learn how to handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. Just echoes in my brain.
Until next time, everybody.
All right. Thank you.